Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls Brew.
Welcome in to another edition of the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know podcasting network. I am your host. My name is Rod Morgan. Joining me are the fellas. We like to talk sports just the same way you like to talk sports with your guys, perhaps when you're having a few brews. That's why we like to call this Balls and Brew. Joining me from North Carolina, he's got his Indiana Hoosiers background flying. He's got his Indiana Hoosiers hat on. He is getting awfully excited for the tournament. It's Chris King. Chris, hello.
What is up, Rod? Hello, Jim. Thank you for having me. And yes, it is March Madness. Let's go.
It is March Madness, and Chris made reference to it there. He's the producer of this podcast. He is the producer of every podcast on this network. He is the host of the Fast Break, which will be coming up later. He is the host of the Yeah We Know podcast. He does so many things. He's Jim Jamariska. Jimmy, hello.
We have the Combine. We have NFL free agency. We've got the draft. We've got 20 games to go in the NBA season. There's so much to talk about, Rod. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and we have a Derek Carr signing to the New Orleans Saints, but we do not have our handicapper Josh Williams with us, so we will not really chop that up. He is going to join us to talk some tournament, so perhaps we'll have him break out a few NFL nuggets for us there when he joins us. Perhaps next week, I guess, because Selection Sunday is coming up for here before too long. So next week we can do that for you. But what I do have, Jimmy just told you about a whole lot of sports that happen and are getting ready to happen. But you know what he didn't mention? A huge fight in the UFC. I'm not someone who usually knows much about what is happening in the ultimate fighting world. I usually don't care. Usually with people that are fighting, I do not know their names, but perhaps out of infamy, but I guess also there is an argument to be made for him as one of the greatest ever. We had Jon Jones fighting over the weekend, and I guess it was a pretty surprising thing. Chris, I have a feeling you know a thing or two about the UFC. You got to have some thoughts on this Jon Jones victory.
No, I have none. I completely forgot he was fighting. I completely forgot he was fighting. I do know he's had a lot of ups and downs in his careers. He's had some run-ins with substances that may or may not have helped him in fights. But, listen, he is one of the greatest of all time.
So, Jimmy, let me throw it to you that way then. Did this UFC thing register for you? Because I got a feeling you're a guy a lot like me that, you're not really a UFC guy, but you respect it on the level of sport. It's been around for a long time. If somebody's great, maybe I should know about it. So did it catch your radar this weekend?
It caught my radar. Listen, I will watch a UFC fight if it's free to watch. I'm not going to pay $100 and stay up till 2 a.m. to watch it. But Jon Jones did what he does. He wins. He's the new heavyweight champion. It's a new weight class for him, but he also does what Jon Jones does. And in about a month or so, we're going to find out that he got popped for something, and no one's going to care because he brings in money. That's exactly what's going to happen, allegedly.
Yep. He's he's up to a heavyweight now. So, let me ask you this. A lot of guys, I guess Conor McGregor is still considered the most famous guy maybe to come out of the UFC. So does the heavyweight champion in UFC matter, or is it actually the light heavyweight champion that matters in the UFC? What's the deal here?
Since it's Jon Jones, it's the heavyweight champion right now that matters, because no one really could have said who. It's the names. The championship doesn't really mean too much, honestly. It's just the names, really. But Chris, back me up here, or just tell me I'm wrong. But
you're completely right. It's the name. It was Ronda Rousey when she had the belt and she was going undefeated. It was Conor when he was going undefeated and knocking everybody out and taking belts in multiple weight classes. It's the name, whether or not they have the belt or not.
Well, I found that kind of interesting this weekend that I sort of knew about what was going on in the UFC world. That's not something that I can say very often. I don't have an Affliction t-shirt. I'm not somebody that's out there pumping weights. You know what I mean? I don't have fingerless gloves. So I just, the UFC is not really a world for me.
You don't go out and roll on the weekends?
No, I do not. So I didn't hear about Jon Jones.
Wait a minute. Listen, you don't roll on the weekends, Rod?
Well, if we're talking about bowling, I certainly do. You know what I mean? I don't roll on Shabbos, right? You know what I mean? Kind of like Walter in the Great in the Big Lebowski, but I was interested to see if Jon Jones completes, and Chris made mention of it, and so did I at the top, a wonderful redemption story, right? It's possible. It's possible that this guy now in his advanced age understands how much he possibly threw away, and he keeps it on the straight and narrow here for a couple of years, and and turns it around for him. I wouldn't bet on it, right? If we had Williams on here and we were talking odds, I certainly would not bet on that. But if he does pull it off, maybe they'll make a movie starring Jon Favreau one day. Wasn't he in a movie about MMA? I don't know. Or am I thinking? No, I guess it was the guy.
You're thinking of Kevin James.
There you go, Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin James.
Maybe they make a maybe with Kevin James.
Bring the pain.
Yeah. All right, I'm out of my depth when it comes to UFC, but you know something I can talk about a little bit? That's the NBA, and we are going to chop it up on the other side when our intrepid producer, Jimmy Jamriska, leads us on the NBA Fast Break.
Welcome to the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. It's the NBA Fast Break on the Morgano Podcast Network. I am Jimmy, alongside my tag team partners, Rod and Chris King. Gentlemen, we have some Kings talk. They are currently residing a half game out of second place in the West. So my question to you, Chris King, if you are the Sacramento Kings, do you want to play the Dallas Mavericks or the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round as it goes now?
I'd probably rather play Minnesota. Dallas can get hot. They do have two superstars on their team. They're not playing great right now, that's for sure. I don't know if Dallas is going to get better before the playoffs start, but I still think I'd rather go up against Minnesota. They don't have Cat, so I think that's going to be a little bit easier of a series if you're a Kings fan. Still going to be tough, but I still think that's the easier way.
Rod, as a Kings fan, as we all are, of course, because we do shine the light here for Sacramento, they are an amazing clutch offensive team. They are so much better than anyone else in the NBA. It's not funny. Defense sucks. So what are you worried about in the playoffs with this team and the possible matchups, the Mavs or Timberwolves, as we stand?
Well, I'm not worried about either of those as a possible matchup. What I'm actually worried about is if the Kings climb to second, which you would think would be something that you should absolutely scream and dance and yell and shout for. But then that means they're going to be teamed up with a team that comes out of the play-in. And there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to be in that play-in mix in the Western Conference that I just absolutely would not want to face in the playoffs if I were the Sacramento Kings and didn't have a lot of players on my team that have playoff experience. If I had a fan base that was going to be absolutely on the edge of their seats with every play because they haven't been in the playoffs in a very, very long time, making for a tense atmosphere, I'd much rather play, like Chris is talking about, the Timberwolves or the Mavericks. And that would actually mean that the Kings might need to fall back. Chris, you actually sort of advocated, excuse me for losing my voice there, for a tad bit of mini tank right there is sort of what you just advocated for. And I love that Jimmy set you up for that. And I don't even think you knew that you were doing that, but you did.
It's not necessarily a tanking. I want Sacramento to win, Minnesota to lose. I mean, listen, we did lose to Minnesota the other night by 4, but we have been beating these teams. Yeah, we like the beam over here.
We are the official Sacramento Kings podcast of Northwest Indiana.
We have been beating those teams that are in that play-in game area, like the Clippers, like the Trailblazers. We've been beating these teams. We're beating these teams that we should be if we're going to be the 2 or the 3 seed in the West.
So the Kings are 7-3 in their last 10, but I will tell you one thing. If you see playoff Paul George, which is actually a positive now, and Kawhi Leonard in that first round, congratulations, Sacramento. You screwed yourselves over. So we need to watch that. Also, hey, Lakers are 10th right now. You never know what can happen, although we kind of know what's going to happen with the Lakers there. So Kings are doing very well overall, and who knows, by this time next week, they could be sole possession of second place. But right now, we'd like, well, there you go. It's that time once again. It's the Rodemnation of the week.
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying. I don't understand no more distractions, but I do believe we should all follow one path in life. Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. I kind of like the way that Jimmy just ended us out of our Sacramento Kings weekly update there, because it lets you know what we're about to talk about in Rodemnation, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies. That's Ja Morant. Who knows how things are going to go for Memphis here in the next couple of weeks. We all know by now the Ja Morant in and out, so I'm not going to waste too much more time here describing them, nor am I going to waste any time here scorning Ja Morant or giving him any advice, right? I don't know what it's like to be a rich NBA player who is thrust into the type of situation that he's in and have people who pick him out as a target. If you want to know about what that's like, listen to what Jalen Rose had to say about that on ESPN. That's not for me to say. But what I think we're failing to bring up in this Ja Morant situation quite enough is just the young of it all, right? Just the young of it all. Forget the race, which has come up at certain times. Forget the hanging out, the nighttime, the party culture, all of that stuff. Just the young of it all, right? When you're 23 years old, like Ja Morant is, certain things in your life seem way more important than as you get older in your life, right? Your rep, your reputation to others, what they think about you, how cool you look, getting disrespected. All of these things matter to you way more when you're a 23-year-old than when they do when you get a little bit older. I think that Ja is just finally learning. So many of us need that event in our life to let us know, you know what? I'm not as friggin' smart as I thought I was, and things can go horribly wrong for me at just a moment if I am not always careful and I'm not taking everything into account. The last thing I want to mention here is Ja Morant's crew. Where are you guys at? Somebody in that crew absolutely has to be all over Ja Morant's phone in that club that night and being like, Ja, hey, yo, my guy, what are we doing? For if no other reason, selfish, right? I mean, he's going to be looking at that crew right now and guys are going to be getting jettisoned. But if you would have kept that phone out of his hand in the strip club in Denver that night, who knows where you'd be? So just shame on Ja Morant's crew to try to lighten it up there a little bit. Because as I said, I'm not somebody that should be scolding Ja Morant, but Rodemnation of the week absolutely has to be Ja Morant.
Rod, I don't think I could have said that any better myself. Chris King, any thoughts on Rod's Rodemnation this week?
No, Ja Morant. Well, a couple things, but Ja Morant deserves
no,
it.
however.
Yeah, Ja Morant deserves it. I mean, this is a big, big blunder that's now going to get investigated by the police, where he should have been watching his P's and Q's for lack of a better term, because he's already been in.
Real quick on that though, Denver's an open carry state, so this is more just a PR on their part. The Denver police is just trying to make sure everybody knows, hey, but there's not much they're going to be able to do to him Denver police wise. But the NBA, on the other hand, if he had that thing on a team flight, if he had that thing in the arena at any point before he ended up
in
going
the locker
to the club,
room,
the locker room, that's going to be trouble for him. So, Jaws, just the last thing I want to say here, real quick. I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't get this in.
Long Rodemnation.
John needs to decide, do I want to continue all of these frivolous pursuits, or do I want to buckle down and make millions and millions and millions of dollars? Because it's clearly the crossroads is there right now. He's got to decide, do I want to leave these things at the side and maybe go about doing some things that I don't think are cool or that make me seem like I'm going along with the man? Well, unfortunately, those are the rules if you want to play for some of the money that's being shown to Ja Morant right now.
Yeah, that's true. And here's the other thing, though. Ja Morant's a kid that he wasn't highly recruited out of high school. He's not a kid that was the AAU star in high school that had big time offers to Power 5 conferences. You know, he ended up going to Murray State, and he didn't get any kind of really publicity until that one little mini run in the tournament. And even then, it wasn't until he got to the league that he really blossomed into a real star where there were so many eyes on him, and probably got a crew after that because it's not people that's been with him for years and years and years. So he's a little late to learn some of these lessons that a lot of other kids and a lot of other players learned while they were in high school or more likely college.
Rod, a little bit more of a positive Rodemnation than has been in the past. I appreciate that. I know we don't like to talk fantasy basketball on this show very much, but I do want to apologize to all of the Ja Morant fans because Ja Morant is on my team, as is Steph Curry, as is Zion Williamson, as is Jalen Williams, as is Therese Halliburton, as is Rudy Gobert. It was a good start, but a bad ending. So this is my fault, everybody. I did make some trades and drafted those players, so I apologize on behalf of myself for all you fans of those teams.
Are you saying you're a black cloud over fantasy basketball, Jimmy? Is that what you're saying?
Apparently so. Jalen Williams is a rookie and got hurt today for no reason. All right. So anyway, let's go on to the MVP table. Roman Reigns, take us home.
I take my rightful place at the head of the table. Believe that.
Okay, so someone who was on the table that's not anymore is obviously going to be John Morant. John Morant's kind of off to the side taking care of his business. Joel Embiid is still our head of the table as we speak this moment. We also have Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, Dame Lillard, and KD's knocking on that door again since coming back to Phoenix. How do we like that squad right now? Anybody we need to add? Anyone we need to take off, Chris King? Because I know Rod has some opinions.
I don't think Dame's at the table yet. Like, we need to give him respect, but he's not at the table.
It's an
I'm
audio
sorry.
podcast, Rod.
Portland's not a great team, and I've been told time and time again by you guys that you have to be on a good contending team to make a real wave to the MVP. I think we have 4 of front runners, and I think that's the only 4 that need to be at the table. That's Joker, Embiid, Giannis, and Tatum.
Rod, Dame hate. We know you love. We know you love to take on that.
Listen, Dame is 5th, all right? I think Dame, the way we have our emeritus jokers who are not supposed to just, Dame is 5th for me, right? I'm voting Dame 5th for MVP. If I, for some reason, was given a ballot by the MVP, I'm voting him 5th for MVP. Jimmy, I love your KD knocking at the door analogy there, a little Breaking Bad almost. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it a little further, and I think KD's actually tapping somebody on the table in the shoulder, and that person is Jason Tatum. He's actually asking Jason Tatum to get up from the table, walk away, and he's going to have a seat. Because I don't think Jason Tatum has a chance at winning the MVP. I think the Celtics are showing real signs of weakness here. I think that ball is getting very sticky with the Celtics. I think Tatum is really showing some of the limitations in his game. Actually, he's also showing that he's not elevating anyone around him. So I believe Tatum is up and off of that. And if the Suns continue to look as magical as they have looked with KD and they rise to the 3 seed, maybe even the 2 seed, because the Western Conference is absolutely insane as far as the standings go right now, I think KD's going to be at that table. So I love Jimmy's analogy, and I say Jason Tatum's got to go.
So the Celts are 5-5 in their last 10, but they're 0-5 in their last 5. So do what you want with that. Celtics have a Knicks problem, which I have a feeling we're going to hear about the Knicks here in a little bit. I'm just throwing that out there. I think we will. But also actually, they're sorry. They are 1-4. They did beat the Cavs once. I apologize there. It does seem, Chris, that Tatum. The Celtics are good. They're going to make it probably in the third. To the final, depending on who they play. Do you think it's time to take him off, Chris?
No, not yet. Here's a reason why, and the reason why he shouldn't get up for KD. KD's missed a little bit too much time compared to Tatum this year. Tatum has been the leader of his team for multiple years, which is something KD can't really say. And yeah, Boston is in a rough spot now. They've hit a rough patch. It doesn't help that Milwaukee was on a historic run for a while. They've had a tough schedule as of late. I mean, the teams they're losing to aren't schlubs, they're playoff teams, but that being said, they have to get it turned around. They have to get back to playing the kind of offense that they were playing earlier in the year. Because Rod's right. That ball is getting awfully sticky. It's not moving around near as much as it used to.
I don't understand why Derek White doesn't play for the Celtics, all right? My fandom's going to come out here a little bit, but I don't understand why Derek White doesn't play more for the Celtics, right? I'm the biggest Marcus Smart guy out there, and I understand that he's the Celtics' heart, and he's in an awful lot of that in the intangibles, but Derek White needs to be playing in some of these lineups. I do not get the Grant Williams minutes. I just don't. The guy's not hitting 3-pointers. I don't understand as much about defense as Chris does because he's forever preaching the importance of defense on this podcast, both football and basketball wise. But man, I don't get why Grant is out there. Malcolm Brogdon should probably be playing more for this team. I'm not saying you need to start the guy because he still needs to be in the running for 6th man of the year, but I do not like what I see out of the Celtics offense. If they aren't hitting 3-pointers, it's over with. And I just don't know how well that's going to translate to the playoffs, because what we hear so often is then you got to have a guy who can go one-on-one and break people down. Tatum and Brown can do that, but they don't actually finish. They're fine breaking guys down to the basket, but they don't actually finish. And then Jaylen Brown, it's an adventure if he actually gets to the basket or not. So I'm really worried about the Celtics, and I'm sorry for my fandom to come out a little bit there, Jimmy. Thank you for allowing me that.
You make sense though, Rod. If that second squad, the second team for them, really gets a little bit better at offense, I think White would help them there instead of Williams. I think that's more important for them, especially with that second unit, to get more offense and worry about stopping the other team's, first unit.
All right. Well, that is our MVP table. Or do we all agree that Embiid is still the head of the table at this point?
I think Giannis has got a strong case, but other people would say Joker. But I love still having Embiid there because I'm an Embiid guy.
Chris King.
Yeah, I would still vote for Embiid there, but it is really close with those three. That's for sure.
Okay. A little tank watch here. A little tank watch looking what's going on here. The Detroit Pistons. Welcome. You are 1-9 in your last 10. You have 15 wins, tied with the Rockets for worst in the league. The Spurs have 16, which still I don't know how they. I don't know. They're not the worst team, and they've lost like every game in a row. And then the Hornets. Give it to the Hornets for being just good enough to not be bad. 20 wins for the Hornets. You got to get. They're so far ahead of those other three teams. What about the Pistons with the first pick? That seems very intriguing, even though they have a lot of big men on their roster, Rod.
I was going to say, didn't they just trade for James Wiseman? I mean, what are we trying to do to
Wiseman? Who's actually playing? He's actually playing.
We got Marvin Bagley on that roster as well, right? They got beef.
A lot of number 2 picks.
I mean, so, yeah, I mean, why is Bogdanovich not playing for the Pistons right now? So, I mean, you're absolutely correct about because I just tried playing him in my fantasy lineup this week, and all of a sudden he's not playing now. That was really a huge mistake by me. Another fantasy thing here, but I have 13 straight wins in fantasy basketball, so perhaps people should listen to my takes on fantasy basketball, Jim.
Yeah, some of us had 9 straight and then lost 9 straight, but that's okay. Chris King. All right, Chris, you've been around a long time. You know how this thing ends. What team is going to end up with the number 1 pick? I'm asking you right now. It's the draft is like 3 months away. What team?
I think it's going to be Detroit. I really do. Even if they don't end up with the worst record, I think somehow they end up with the pick.
Spurs.
Because
Spurs?
I mean, maybe
Spurs.
San Antonio would be my second guess, but I think it's going to end up going to Detroit. They're going to take that Chet Weingartner dude or whatever his last name is, and they're going to have all this young talent, and we're going to see what happens.
Victor Wembanyama? Chet Weingartner, huh?
I thought you were talking about Scoot Henderson for a second, too. Like, I don't know what was happening there.
And on that note, it is time for the Kings Hardwood Hierarchy.
Compose yourself, Chris.
For the win.
Last week, we had the Kings being the Bucks, the Queens being the Celtics, the Prince being the Nuggets, and the Jester, a tie between the Pelicans and the Mavericks. Chris, what do we have?
Excuse me. So the Bucks did lose their first game in a long, long time.
Kick them out.
But they're still the Kings. Nope, they're still the Kings. One game, it was a hard-fought game. They lost to Philadelphia. That's not a schlub team. Milwaukee is still playing better than everybody else in the league. Barely. Because this team is hot right now, and they probably don't even have their best player on the court, and that's the New York Knicks in the queen seat.
Bing bong, baby, let's go.
I mean, they have been playing out of their mind, and they're getting a whole lot of real work from some of their midseason acquisitions like Josh Hart. He's not putting up big box score stats, but like he makes that team run. He's usually guarding the other opposing team's best perimeter player. He's been really good. Quick had a real huge game the other night. Randall has been putting up ungodly numbers again. Like the Knicks are playing with what seems to be like real passion and may end up getting up into the top 4 of the East. I mean, right now, there's not too many teams out there that can beat them.
Oh, I'm terrified of the Knicks right now if I'm an East contender. Absolutely terrified of the Knicks right now because that's a Tibbs coach team, right? And like Tibbs has a lot of faults, but when teams they buy into the Tibbs system, I mean, we've seen what they can do. And right now this team is clearly buying in, and he's got like 8 dogs on that team that he can just roll out there. You know what I mean? Because like you said, Josh Hart coming off the bench is just absolutely great. Quickly being able to come off that bench when Brunson comes back. Randall is the most frustrating guy to watch. You don't want to watch him play, but then you look up and he's got 34. You know what I mean? Like just somehow the guy gets it done. So this Knicks team is
he'll have a stretch of 5 minutes that you turn on the TV and you'll see 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, a technical, and you're like, what's the big deal with this guy? At the end of the game, you're right, he'll have 28, 10, and 4.
Oh, it was incredibly frustrating, that Knicks Celtics game, because the Celtics just couldn't hit a basket, yet somehow they kept forcing more and more overtimes. I was pissed off. I was literally just wanted the game to end. You know what I mean? And then quickly still like dancing around. I mean, it was just, that Knicks team, boy, just look out. I don't want to play the Knicks, and I don't want to play the Heat in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Those are 2 teams that these top teams are going to have to play. So we've talked all year long that it's Boston, Milwaukee, maybe Philadelphia, but the Knicks and the Heat are going to have something to say about it. It's going to be a bloodbath in the East.
Brings us to the Prince, which is Denver. They almost got unseated by our Kings because of how well they've been playing, but Denver's playing just as well. They're still the best team in the West.
They're like the only sure thing in the NBA. Like Denver's locked up the 1 seed.
Right.
They're the 1 seed in the Western Conference. Now it's just going to be a question of, will the East 1 seed, whoever that happens to be able to have the same record as them? That's really the only question that's left.
Yep. So that's it. And of course, for the Jester this week, we are going to go with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Whoa.
And their experiment, or whatever you want to call it. Rod mentioned earlier he's afraid of playoff Paul George and if Kawhi's healthy.
Wait a minute, who?
Well, who?
Yeah.
I didn't call you off for this one last week, and neither did Jimmy, but we can't do it 2 weeks in a row. His name's Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard.
There you go.
All right. Just, you don't know if he's going to be on the court. You know, you have what's almost a liability, unfortunately, with Russ. I don't think that you can be scared of them. They've lost 7 out of the last 10. They're falling in the West. It's not working out. I don't know what to think. They're going to – I mean, right now they're still in a play-in game. I don't see them getting out of that spot.
You know what you want on the court at the same time in 2023 NBA? You want a Russ Westbrook who can't shoot from anywhere and a Mason Plumlee who can't shoot from anywhere on the court at the same time. That's what you want.
Isn't it weird that every single person who has ever watched an NBA game knew exactly what was going to happen if they signed Russell Westbrook, except for like the best players on the Clippers, apparently? I don't understand it.
I mean, listen, the dude has basketball skill. Like, that's pretty evident. It just doesn't work in the NBA anymore, I guess.
He's a relentless competitor too, right? Like, you could see how that energy,
yeah.
if you're not mad at Russ, right, and like he comes in, you're like, all right, you're buying in his, like, he's a dog, he's gonna jump, he's going after everything and give up nothing, you know what I mean? No relenting. Like, I can see people buying that for a little bit, but you know what though, Jim? Sometimes though, don't you feel like the Westbrook hate goes a little far? Because like I could see how if you're Russ Westbrook, you'd say to yourself, like, what do you want me to do, right? Like, turnovers are going to be a thing. Here's what he would say. Turnovers are going to be a thing. I'm playing so hard that I'm going to turn the ball over. I still put in 18 to 24 points. I still get anywhere between 8 to 11 assists, right? I can still grab 6 to 8 rebounds. You know what I mean? Like, what more do you want out of a guy who's playing 30 minutes for you? And
winning.
He's not wrong, maybe, but yeah, winning, exactly. But then he's going to say there's 4 other guys on the court. So, like, it's a tough line.
Taking down. You're bringing down.
You know what I mean? I tend to agree with you,
allegedly.
But I feel bad for Westbrook sometimes. I just do, because I don't know that all of this is completely just his fault. Everything that went wrong in the Lakers wasn't just his fault, and everything going wrong on the Clippers right now isn't just his fault. But he certainly isn't adding to anything. So I understand what you mean, Jimmy and Chris.
All right, well, Chris, thank you very much for the King's Hardwood Hierarchy, as always. And that's going to do it for this episode of the NBA Fast Break on the More You Knows Podcasting Network. Rod, anything coming up on the network?
We are going to talk about a television show that snuck up out of nowhere that I don't think a lot of people thought was going to be much, and it turned out it was a really, really good show, and its season finale is occurring this week that we were recording, so we will talk about that this weekend, and it will come out. And then I also teased the people that we would talk about Cocaine Bear, and I've given the people plenty of time to see Cocaine Bear. And with the Oscars around the corner, what more appropriate movie to talk about than Cocaine Bear? So I believe we will have a little two-hitter for you. We will talk a little television show. I'm not going to name the TV show till we have the podcast, and then we will follow it up with a little Cocaine Bear discussion. That is all ahead of us. And then, Jimmy, I'll throw it back to you real quick. We have some WrestleMania to look forward to. So, I mean, big things could be happening on the wrestling podcast. Or if people want to just learn a little bit about what's happening in wrestling before WrestleMania, we have a pretty good show for them, don't we?
Oh, of course, we've got a lot to talk about. Tons of stuff happened this week and Monday Night Raw. So make sure you check out the Morgan Knows feed with the Yeah We Know podcast. Chris, what's your line?
Goodbye, Internet.